You're listening to Ideal Practice, episode number 200. Can you believe it? We are at 200. This is a milestone that I'm kind of excited about and kind of proud of. And also, it's so cool that I have made the choice to share with you what I am sharing with you today. Something about all of this just seems like it's in perfect alignment to me. This is so much fun, y'all, because today I am starting our summer replay series where I'm going to be bringing back some of the most popular episodes that we have ever had here on Ideal Practice, and I am starting with a doozy. Today, I'm going to share with you the conversation that we had here way back in the beginning about the law of attraction of all things. Because apparently this is something you guys are super interested in and have remained interested in throughout the life of this show. Okay, so we're gonna bring that one back today. I am going to be sharing with you my absolutely fascinating conversation with Christy Miller. Christy's a business coach and a mentor for health and wellness coaches across the country. But it's her personal story that's a doozy. And if you're a little skeptical about this whole idea, all I can say is you've got to hear that story. Because if you haven't, my friends, you are in for a treat. Not even kidding. So, stay tuned. Hi, I'm Wendy Pitts-Reeves, and with over 2 decades of experience in the private practice world, I've built my 6-figure business while learning a lot of lessons the hard way. This is the first podcast that shows you how to apply the principles of energy, alignment, and strategy to build a practice that is profit-centered, but people-forward. This is the Ideal Practice Podcast. Hey, folks, and welcome back. This is Wendy. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Ideal Practice Podcast. I am super excited about sharing this interview with you today. Christy Miller is described as a fun-loving, action-oriented business mentor. I'm going to say I think fun-loving and action-oriented might be the understatement of the century, which I think you'll get after you hear this. She helps health and wellness coaches get more online clients so that they can have a bigger impact and make more money and truly enjoy the freedom that comes with running an online business. But long before she became a business coach, she'd already had successful careers as a financial analyst, a corporate attorney, an interior designer, and, get this, an LA County sheriff before discovering her true passion, which is coaching. That's quite a background, but oh my gosh, it is her personal story about how she has overcome hardship, faced fears, and consciously worked to raise her own vibration, consciously worked to tap into the loving energy of the universe in a very tangible way that blew my mind. And as we get into this, I'm going to tell you there are some really funny moments in this interview that just make me laugh out loud. There are some very touching moments, and there are some pretty powerful numbers in here in terms of how this work has impacted her business as well as her life. So there's a lot here for you. There's a lot. Listen closely, my friends, and I hope you laugh and enjoy and are as inspired as I was. So let's get into the interview. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Wendy, and I am so glad you're here with me today because we have a treat. This conversation, I already know, is going to be fun and a little mind-blowing. I'll just tell you that ahead of time. I am pleased to introduce you today to Christy Miller. We met a few months ago and had a conversation about her business and some pretty amazing things that have happened in her life. You all know that one of the things I want to talk about here on this podcast is the role of energy and its impact on our business and on our evolution as human beings and as business owners. And one of the common ways, or one of the places you will hear people talk about this, is in something called the law of attraction, which some of you will be very familiar with, some of you will be very skeptical about, some of you have never heard of. That's fine. What I want you to do is I want you to meet Christy and hear her story. We're going to sort of dive in, and I think you're going to really love this. It's really cool. So, hello, Christy. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. I am thrilled to have you here. I know it's been a few months since we talked before when we could get this set up, and I'm very excited that we finally get to do this. So, why don't you start us off just by introducing yourself, telling people who you are, what you do, a little bit about your business? Let's start with that.
Okay. I am Christy Miller, the health coaches coach, and I help health coaches get more online clients so they can have a bigger impact, make more money, and truly enjoy being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
We are international, which is the joy of owning an online business. Not only does it give us the freedom to go where we want and do what we want, but enables us to have such a wider impact on lives that we never would have been able to connect with before.
Yeah. Yeah. So most of your work is virtual, or all of it, I'm going to guess. It's all online, probably.
100% is online. Yeah. When I started my business in 2014, I started it as an online business. And since then, I have probably had 4 in-person clients. And that's it. Yeah.
Great. You were ahead of the pandemic.
I really was. When the pandemic hit, I was like, oh, this is a growth opportunity.
There you go. There's your first mindset tip of the day, y'all, right there.
Exactly. Silver lining.
Yeah, seriously. So tell me, let's dive into talking about the law of attraction, which for some people is really triggery and for some people is kind of intriguing. Tell me, what is it? Let's just introduce that for people who have never heard of it, because I myself had never heard of this concept until just a few years ago. Although now when I think about it, there's a lot about it that is intuitive for me, that in a way I think I have always kind of thought like this. I just didn't have the language for it. But I'd love to hear, just sort of introduce us to the concept. What is this and why should we care about it?
Sure. So as I go through this, I'm going to sound a little bit woo-woo for some of the listeners. And I just want to say that when the movie The Secret came out, what was that, 10, 15 years ago? And people were talking about just write yourself $1 million check and post it on a bulletin board. I was screaming BS so loud. I'm like, that doesn't work. You can't just put it out there and expect it to happen. So I understand if anyone else is in that mindset right now.
It's like, give me a break, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, if it was that easy, nobody would be poor. I mean, come on, people.
Right.
So I came into this very much as a skeptic. However, as I started diving in, I realized that I had been practicing the law of attraction, not knowing it was even a thing or had a name, since I was very young. And so for me, my definition of law of attraction is basically getting very clear on what you want, putting the idea out there, visualizing the success, and then taking massive action. And that's kind of a summary for me. And 99% of the time when I've done the law of attraction, I have either gotten what I wanted or gotten something better.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And I say 99% of the time because it may even be 100%, but I didn't realize that the something better was related to what I was asking for, because maybe I was moping around saying it doesn't work.
Right.
But I give it about a 99% success rate.
Okay. So, and what you added there that I don't think I hear most of the time when I hear people talk about this is take massive action.
Yes.
Right. So, yeah.
Yes, we can't. I mean, let's just talk about weight loss, because I was a weight loss coach in the beginning.
Okay. You
can't just declare that you want to lose weight and write an affirmation and visualize it and do nothing. Like, you can say your affirmations while you're eating ice cream, and that's not going to work.
Right.
You can visualize yourself at your healthy and happy weight eating ice cream. And that's not going to work if you don't change your environment, what you're putting into your body, and actually take that massive action. And with weight loss, it doesn't even have to be massive action. It's, little itty baby steps that add up, just like everything in life. But you can't just go and meditate and have things magically appear. I don't believe.
Do you use this as a coach with your clients? Do you Do you use this or do you teach this in some way to your clients?
I do. We
Okay.
weave personal development into all of my courses and all of my coaching. And something that I have seen so often with healers and health coaches is I will ask them, what is your revenue goal? Or for the people that are very adverse to thinking of it in terms of money, what is your impact goal?
Mm.
And I would say when I ask that question, 75% of the people say, I don't know. And my
Okay.
response is always, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know when you get there?
Right.
We don't get into our car and program our GPS to say restaurant.
Right.
I mean, it may work, but unless you're super lucky, you may end up at Chinese food when you hate it. And
And
so many
that is,
people
and
are,
this is so
yeah.
hard for people. I see this also a lot. I see this especially with women more than I do with the guys, that I think we're just not used to allowing ourselves to entertain the question, what do I want? Right?
Mhm.
At all. So I also see that. So what do I want? I don't know. I just want to help people. I just want to help
Yeah.
people. What does that
Yeah. So
mean?
how many people?
Right. Hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's also fear really comes into it. I remember when I was doing a enrollment call with a potential client. This was way back in the weight loss days. And I asked her, what do you dream of? What do you really want? And her response was, I don't allow myself to dream anymore because I'm
Oh.
just going to be disappointed. And it took me so long
Mm,
to shake that emotion off. And I'm
mm,
not an empath, but I understand how empaths feel on a daily basis if that's what it is,
mm.
because I couldn't shake it. I ended up going for a run and doing sprints and like finally like was able to release. Like
Wow.
I felt so disappointed for her
Mm-hmm.
because I'm the complete opposite. I dream big.
All right, so I'm going to redirect us for just a second. I'm realizing I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here, and I want to go back. I'd like to hear a little bit about how you became aware of the role of law of attraction in your life. How this became something that you are like, oh, this is a thing, and oh my gosh, I see it and I experience it. Like how did you learn this? How did you become aware of this? Yeah.
So apparently I was doing it without knowing that it was a thing.
Hmm.
And after watching The Secret and calling BS on it, I started investigating. Okay, let me see what they're talking about. And a memory came back when I was 14 or 15. Volkswagen came out with the convertible Rabbit, and I loved it.
I
And I
remember
didn't
that.
even, yeah, I didn't even have a driver's license. And I went to the dealership. I forget how I got there, and got a brochure. And I
Okay.
cut out the picture of a yellow convertible Rabbit and I put it on my bulletin board. I had a bulletin board that apparently must have been a vision board, me not knowing it. And
Mm.
I stared at that Volkswagen Rabbit every day because the bulletin board was right as I was to enter my closet. And 2.5 years later, like when I was 17, I think it was 17 or 18, I went into a bank and got a loan
Ah.
for a convertible Rabbit without a cosigner. Like,
Oh, wow.
how does that happen? And
Right.
so I had been visualizing, affirming, and somehow took enough massive action to convince a bank back in those days to give a girl, I must have been 18 because I don't think they do it to a 17-year-old, but to
Hmm.
give a young girl who works at a department store a car loan for a convertible Rabbit.
So it
There
was
it
a
was.
dream. It was a goal. It was a target. You couldn't stop thinking about it, and everything. I'm guessing that over those couple of years, like all of your actions were driving you in that direction in some way. Was that
Yes.
conscious or unconscious? Like were you planning those 2 years? I'm going one way or another. By the time I'm 18, I'm going to do this, or was
No,
it no?
not
Okay.
not consciously. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why like this is the first time where I was able to look back in my life and see that I was doing part of this. Like I would always look at the car and think,
Yeah.
one day I'm going to drive you.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a timeline, which the way I teach law of attraction is give yourself a timeline. It may not happen in that timeline, but that helps you take your massive action.
Mm.
And so, then one day I came home for lunch and I had my convertible rabbit. And this is what's really odd. I didn't tell my parents.
Oh,
So
wow.
I didn't know when the right time would be to tell them. So I kept hiding the car.
For real?
Yes. Well, hiding it under a car cover. So I had a little Subaru and the rabbit was about the same size. So I just put the Subaru cover over the rabbit.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was home one day from work. Okay, now I know I was 19 when I got it because I was working as a bookkeeper and I came home from work for lunch and I didn't expect my parents to come home. Like my dad should be working and my mom should be doing whatever she does all day long. And they drove home together in one car and they pulled up and my car wasn't covered and it was in the driveway. My dad came in, he's like, whose car is that? I'm like, mine. Let's just say he wasn't pleased.
For real. I mean, that's a lot to navigate as a young person anyway. But it's interesting to me. There's probably a backstory there about why you didn't want your folks to know. But what I love about that is that you were, you did something kind of exciting that was like this little secret treasure that you had accomplished.
Yeah, I knew.
Guessing,
the reason why I didn't want to tell my dad was I had rolled my Volkswagen Bug a year before, and we had ended up buying the Subaru, which was a new car. And he was a finance guy. He knew numbers. And he always said, you really should never buy a new car because it depreciates the minute you take it off the lot. Yeah. So I knew he was not going to be pleased that I had just sold the 1-year-old car to buy another new car. And so I was just waiting for the proper moment. And apparently that was the moment.
Okay. It wasn't practical, sensible, realistic, grown up. And yet it was something that you had really had your eye on and your heart on. And it might sound a little bit silly, but it's not silly because that same process applies to literally everything in your life. So where did you go from there? How did this continue to play out for you?
Yeah. So then fast forward to understanding that there was something called law of attraction. And I just kept refining my process, which is essentially a 7-step process with the very first step. Decide what you want and set that goal. Because once we get that goal in our brain and in our subconscious mind, the subconscious mind acts like a radar. It does not know the difference between where you are now and where you want to be, but it feels the tension between the two. And so it is going to do everything in its power to identify opportunities for you to hit that goal. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so important. It's called the reticular activating system.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Yep. And when we set those very, very clear goals, our subconscious can start working toward it. Again, you have to take action because if suddenly you're drawing in people that can help you, but you're not talking about this goal or what you want, they don't know they can help you. So that's where, again, massive action and pushing through the fear and operating from a place of love make a big difference.
Let me put a little pin in this for a second. The reticular activating system is not a phrase you hear very often. I forget about it sometime, but this is also the idea behind why visualization actually does work. It's not magic. It's not that you are creating something out of thin air, although sometimes it can feel like it. But that there is without even realizing it, you will be drawn towards things that move you in the direction of your desire without even realizing that you're doing it. And it's pretty powerful, actually. So in other contexts, I've talked about the power of the word of the year, having a word of the year, or the power of a vision board. I'll do that another time in another podcast, but that's exactly what you're talking about here. It is really, really sort of amazingly effective. So you start off by getting one of your first dream cars. And before that, so you said that you were sort of skeptical about the secret, like, don't give me this baloney that I can just sit around and think about what I want and it happens. And yet you began to sort of test out the idea. Were you begin to notice it in other ways, or is it something that kind of followed you moving forward as you moved into your career and forward in your life?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that I used the law of attraction for was to become the top academic recruit and top female recruit in the LA LA County Sheriff's Department at age 44.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you knew I was an LA
No.
County Sheriff for a little while.
Ah,
Uh, I call it my season of badassery, not to be confused with the midlife crisis. I just wanted to go do something tough to
love
prove that
it.
I could. And
Love it.
so I had set the goal and wrote an affirmation and visualized myself as a sheriff. And I actually have a picture of me as a sheriff on my desk right now in front of me for this interview. And I saw it all happening, and I took massive action, and it happened almost in the identical way that I saw it come through. Now, the drill instructors were a lot meaner and tougher than I saw in my visualization,
Mm-hmm.
but pretty much it came to fruition the way that I saw it. And I would teach how to write an affirmation, how to do visualization in such a way that you are the director, the screenwriter, the video crew, you're the set design, you're the music director. When we visualize, we really need to create this mind movie that just feels so real in HD and stereo sound. And my husband would hear me coaching because our bedroom was next to my office. Now, he couldn't hear what my clients were saying, but he could
Right.
hear my side of it. And he always used to hear this. And so he used the law of attraction to kick Cancer's butt while his
Oh.
identical twin was dying from cancer.
Okay, so tell us the story because I remember you telling me this when we talked before, and it was really beautiful. So tell me the story.
Sure. So just first shout out, rest in peace to Michael Miller. Mikey was Mark's identical twin, and he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Mm.
And we knew, unless there was a miracle, that the end was coming quickly.
Mm.
And 30 days, or a little more than 30 days before Mike died, my husband was diagnosed with testicular cancer. And to this day, I'm very happy that he only dipped a small net into the cancer pool and that he was curable. But as they rolled my husband into surgery, so my husband is diagnosed on Monday, meet with the specialist on Wednesday, and he's wheeled into surgery on Friday. This was just quick.
Wow.
And he's in the pre-op area. And because UCLA is a teaching hospital, at least 15 to 20 interns and other hospital people kept coming into his room. And, I'm reading all the paperwork and trying to keep my mind busy. And he's introducing himself. And the first time I didn't really hear it. And then the second time I'm like, did I hear what I just heard? And the third time it was crystal clear. Hi, Mark Miller, cancer survivor. And the tears just started flowing down my face. And I looked at him and I said, what did you say? And he goes, what? I listened to all your coaching.
So he was introducing himself this way to these interns. He's in a bed on his way into surgery at the very beginning of this discovery that he had this to deal with, while his brother has a very serious kind of cancer, which I can only imagine how that would influence your fear, especially as a twin. How could you not go there? And he's introducing himself as a cancer survivor at the very beginning. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm glad that you mentioned fear, because law of attraction isn't a magical fear eraser. We had to feel the fear. I mean, I'm looking at his identical twin who now weighs 70 pounds less than him and looks like he's 95 years old. It's impossible not to have fear. Like, I was like, oh, great. Here's that crazy twin thing. I know how this is going to end.
Yes.
So it's normal to have fear. I'm never one that says, oh, fear is stupid. No, fear is real.
Yeah.
And we have to let ourselves, I believe that we have to let ourselves go through it and feel it and then decide. The flip side of fear is love. And when we can operate from a place of love, it's all about others. Fear is all about us. So, when we think of the healers, when we think of the health coaches, and they're scared to do a webinar, they're scared to give an offer or invite somebody to work with them. That's operating from a place of fear. And what this means to you, that you can get rejected. if you operate from a place of love, it's all about your client, your potential client. And it's so much easier to present that offer or do that webinar.
I love that, Christy. That is absolutely true. I often say it's about service, but you're right. Love is an even better word. And that is absolutely true that when you are giving a talk or making an offer or stepping up in some way for your clients that is good for your business, but feels scary for you, it really, if you are coming from a place of love for them and love for the work and love for yourself, you're going to be so much more effective. I love that. That's love that.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Really, really
and that's, for most of us, we're doing this because we're passionate about it. And so let's tap into that, or to the love, to accelerate our passion.
So when your husband was going through that, and it's just beautiful how he was stepping into the future he wanted to create, to manifest, right?
Yes.
What did you do? How did you manage your own energy during that time?
Sure. Well, first I went to the dark side, and I had a dream one night where he was dead. I was homeless. I was living under an underpass, and I had my laptop with my dog, Winnie, and I was trying to tap into Starbucks internet so that I could host my webinar.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that was like, clearly I went way to the dark side, and I woke up just in this panic, like about to cry. And I sat straight up and I just started laughing. And I started talking just out loud, like, thank you. Thank you for that dream, because it is so ridiculous. Like, even if Mark didn't survive, I'm not going to be homeless living under an overpass.
Right.
Like,
It sort of exaggerated the fears so much that you could laugh at them and go, this is nuts.
Yes.
Right.
And that's what I try to do when I'm scared of something. I'm like, okay, let's take it all the way to the worst case scenario. And then I just get really creative, and I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. That's never going to happen. Okay, let's go back to reality.
All right.
So I went to the dark side, because what I saw in that dark side was, hey, I was actually still okay. It's not a life that I want to live, but I was still okay in that dream. So again, I didn't want it. So after that happened, I got very clear on my visualization and visualizing us at our 60th wedding anniversary. And so that would make Mark 90. And so I'm like, yeah, okay. And I visualized all the trips, all the places where we're going to go through the years, and declaring to everyone that he's a cancer survivor, and just living our story, so that if I ever went back to that brief moment below the overpass, that I could literally change the channel. And that's where visualization is so powerful, is when you're in a place of fear, when you have doubt, when you don't think you're enough, change the channel. Go to your mind movie and see what you're going for, and use that as fuel.
So I want to point out something that you're saying here that I think is important. You're not just saying, I pictured him being healthy. I pictured us being on the other side of this. You went all the way out. I'm picturing 60 years or however many years in the future, and all the in-betweens. And you stepped, I love the mind movie concept, and what your whole thing about, you're the actor, you're the director, you're the props, you're the stage, you're all of it, right?
Everything.
So it's an immersive experience. Like, you allow yourself to create a vision that is what you want, and you step into it 100%, so that it is a full-blown, full senses experience. And I'm going to guess that the emotion, the feelings that come with that change too. So
completely.
Talk about that.
Yeah. And it's important also, and I don't always do this, but it's important also when you're writing your affirmation that you put emotions in there. So it could be something like, I am grateful and excited about my new job position. And you would want to say what the job position was, because you got to be very specific. But when you can weave the emotions into your written affirmations, it has that much more power, because, and there's some scientific reason for this that I don't know, I just believe it, that it just helps you continue to take more action when you can tap into emotions. Emotions are very powerful. They can either hurt us or help us. And so I always choose to go with hey, let's tap into emotions to help us.
Well, the way I think of it is, and which is why I was wanted to point that out, is because what I find is that when my own energy is lighter and my mood is in a better place, things tend to happen better. If my mood is in a dark place, I've always said you get what you expect. That's kind of what I was saying long before I'd ever heard of law of attraction. And I think the energy of your feelings are so important, because I find that if I'm worrying about money, or if I'm worrying about a client, or I'm stressing over something in my business, things have a way of sort of shutting down. On the other hand, if I can be playful and light and have this attitude of, that's going to be fun. Wonder how that's going to happen. Can't wait to see how that unfolds. Then magic happens and opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere. It's amazing to me. And when you were talking about your husband not just being well, but you were envisioning a life well lived and the joy of that. And I actually think, and tell me if you think so too, I think that when you are in a good place emotionally, when your energy is high, when your vibrations are high, you allow more good in. And I also can't always explain it. I mean, I know that quantum physics is a thing, and that we've learned a lot about the power of thought on molecules and all that kind of stuff. Science is not my strong suit, but I think your energy around that was really, really important. And I wanted to highlight that, because I think as business owners, when we go into worry and the story we tell ourselves is, this isn't going to work. Who am I kidding? Oh, no wonder that didn't happen. Well, that was fine. But all that energy is like a wet blanket on your success. Is kind of how I think of it. And it blocks the good things that want to come to you. So you've got a couple of really good stories that I love. I hate to talk about cars all the time, y'all, but she's got a story about cars that you got to hear, because it cracked me up when I heard it. And I like cars too. So I'm.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing, because I have so many car stories.
You do.
Maybe I was a race car driver in my prior life. I don't know where this comes from. Other than, my dad liked cars, but we didn't have fancy pants cars. So,
I get a kick
yes,
out of that.
and I love what you were saying about, your emotions, your fears, your energy can be a wet blanket on your goals. And I had a very wet blanket on my business when I started. I had lost $88,000 in my first 2 years as a health coach.
Okay.
I was just investing so much money back then you had to have a fancy pants website. You had to have a custom built membership site. You had to have professionally filmed videos. So I was just throwing money at this passion and dream of mine. And I had lost $88,000.
Okay.
And I remember saying to my husband in December of whatever year that was, 2015, 16, way back when. And I said, if I am not a 6-figure and profitable business next year, I'm going to shut down my business. And he was trying to talk me out of that, because he's like, your clients get great results. You are such a good coach.
He was talking you out of that, even though you had lost 88K in the first 2 years.
Yes. And here's what he said. He hates when I repeat this, but it came from a place of love. What if we just consider this your volunteer job? And I went ballistic. I think I embarrassed sailors. I started screaming so many expletives together, not screaming at him, not mad at him, just mad at the concept. I said, who pays money to work 14 hours a day? Are you insane? We would have more money if I played golf all day, and I like golf and I haven't been golfing. So I set the intention, I either have to give up my passion, or I need to make this profitable, even if it's $5 profit. No more losing money in my business.
Now, did you think that way already, or was it something about his question that clarified that for you? Were you already kind of wired that way? By golly, I'm in this to make a profit? Because a lot of my people, was that whole thing about maybe this can be your volunteer job. I'm a social worker, and a lot of my folks tend to be social workers and folks like that. And and I'm always saying, your practice is not this isn't volunteer work, y'all. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
But I think they
Yeah.
have that kind of mentality. It's okay. I'm just trying to help people. And as long as I make enough to make ends meet, it's okay. I'm like, no, it's not okay. But where you
Yeah,
are,
and I
you're
wasn't
already wired
even
that way. Yeah.
well, I wasn't even making enough to ends meet. I mean, we were
Yeah.
living off of our Mark's income, but
Yeah.
like I was paying to go to work.
Yes.
So it wasn't just
This is not sustainable.
not me. Yeah, like, hey honey, can you go make a little bit more money? Because I need to put more money into my business. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Why don't I just sit on the beautiful beach in front of my house all day? Like,
So
we would have more money.
You had kind of a moment there, is what I'm hearing, is that you were losing money. You were doing, I mean, there is a certain amount of, there is something to be said about you do have to put money into your business to get it started. There is a certain,
Yes.
You have to spend money to make money, as they say. But all things in moderation, there's a point to where this is ridiculous. And it sounds like for you, this was a point where you kind of drew a line in the sand and said, oh, hell no, I'm not going to keep going this way. Something's got to change.
Exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of the reason why I got into that situation was fear, not valuing my time, giving so much away for free. And I still give a lot away for free. I believe that's part of our service, but I just wasn't pricing things. I was too scared to make offers. And so there was a whole bunch of stuff behind that.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, enough is enough. Like, I'm not going to keep paying to go to work. And so about 30 days later, my business coach announced that she was going to give away a Porsche Cayenne. She was she was holding a 90-day revenue contest, and somebody was going to win her Porsche Cayenne. And it wasn't a raffle. And basically the criteria was you got 1 point for every 10% that you increased your revenue in that particular quarter over the same quarter in the prior year. You got up to 10 points for your 100-word essay and up to 10 points for your video. So again,
video,
not
essay,
a raffle.
and progress, basically quarter over quarter income progress. Okay.
Exactly. Because everyone thinks, oh, you're just lucky you won. I'm like, no, this was not a raffle, although I win raffles too. So anyway, so I wasn't going to enter this contest. She had 700 eligible entrepreneurs. And she barely even knew me because I wasn't showing up in a big way. And I thought, oh, one of her favorites is going to win. This whole story that I played in my head. And then a couple days before you had to submit your financials from the year before and declare that you were joining, I just had this epiphany that I am joining this contest and I am the Porsche winner. And that's where I said earlier, I don't always put emotions into my affirmations. I decided that was my affirmation. I am the Porsche winner. And I wrote it 100 times a day.
Oh my gosh.
And this goes into, there's the affirmation. I test drove the Porsche Cayenne at a local dealership. I told them what was going on and that I was going to win this Porsche and then I was going to turn it in and get a new one because it was a 2-year-old, beautiful car, 2-year-old black Porsche.
So you weren't saying, I'm going to win, I will win. You just said, I am the winner of. And you wrote that 100 times a day, every day.
Yes.
And went to drive it. This goes back to the experience piece. When you went to actually drive a version of that car so you could know what it felt like, smells like, feels like. I love that.
Exactly. In some instances, you have the ability to step into that to get the feeling, and others you may not.
Right.
Like let's say you make a goal and have the affirmation of you and Bora Bora. We're probably not really going to get the smell of Bora Bora until you go.
Right.
But in this case, I was able to not only feel it, smell it, accelerate it, turn it, have all the fun in it. I also took a picture in it. I bought a little Porsche, like Matchbox car, but it's not Matchbox, but the little Porsche from the dealership, a little black one. Even though I knew I would turn it in and buy a white one because I'm in the white car club. I carried that Porsche around with me for over 100 days because there was a time period after the contest when you submit all your stuff that then the judges were doing everything. So I carried that Porsche everywhere. I took pictures of it and posted it all over social media.
Hmm.
And so I was also enrolling other people's energy in my win. When it
Okay.
came down to the contest being over and, the judges were working on stuff, I started looking at all the other people that I knew entered the contest. I couldn't find anything on social media by them.
No, because
And
who would go out and post, "Hey, everybody, I'm going to win this car,"
yeah.
because if you don't win that car, then what, right? But you weren't doing it that way. You weren't thinking of it that way at all.
Well, I did for a split second. Remember what I told you about fear? How
Yep.
we have to go and look at the fear?
Yep.
Early on, I thought, I'm going to look like a total dummy if I don't win this car. And then I'm like, okay, that's fear. Let's go to the love side. What
Mm.
is on the opposite of that? Let's pretend I don't win.
Mm.
And on the love side, I was thinking about my client or anyone on social media that was seeing this.
Mm.
And what I saw was, if somebody's on the fence about law of attraction
Yeah.
and I don't win, this is going to push them to the side of the fence where they don't believe.
You're like, see, told you.
Yep. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's fear coming into my love visualization.
Mm.
So I'm like, that's okay. I'm going back to my affirmation. I'm the Porsche winner. I'm doing this and I'm going to show the world that law of attraction with massive action works.
So was that part of your intention, was to teach people, to model this for others, or was it just because this is what you got to do when you're really stepping into a vision? Like, did you have that kind of in your mind? Yeah.
It wasn't 100% the plan.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, part of the plan was to influence the judges based on my social media posts. Let's be honest.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing, because it's about putting the energy out there and enrolling people in your win, and if the judges see how hard I'm working and what I'm doing and how excited I am.
Yeah.
And like, they're like, well, should this video get 10 points and this one gets 10 points and now we need a tiebreaker? Like if everything else was equal in the end and there was a tie, I'm like, oh, I got it.
Guys, I want you all to notice one of the things I love about this is the confidence that Christy goes at things with, because just hearing the story, I know some of you guys are going to be rolling your eyes. So stop that, tune back in, give yourself a little bit of grace here and just hear this, because what I love about this is that, Christy, that you are playful, you are clear, you are intentional, you were massive. Talk about massive action, and you were doing it in a very public way that could be really scary or could just be kind of crazy fun. And if it doesn't work, it still shows people what the power of stepping fully into a dream, into a vision, into an intention. And I don't care what it is, something good comes out of it, whether or not it works out the way you think it's going to work or want it to work or not. Something good's going to come out of it. So you were all over the place. This was marketing.
Yeah, it was.
You were marketing.
Marketing to the judges. And then the ultimate. So people that are rolling their eyes, I hear you. My husband was sort of kind of there too, even though this was after his cancer.
I was going to ask you if it was before or after
battle.
That. Okay.
No, it was after.
Yeah.
And the day before the winner was announced, I sold my car.
Oh my gosh.
I think I have a pattern of doing things with cars and not telling people.
Yeah.
And Mark came home and he pulls his car in the garage and he didn't expect me to be home because there's no Christy's car in the garage.
Right.
And he said, "Where's your car?" And I said, "Oh, I sold it." And he looked at me and he's like, "What?"
Why?
And in the most cheerful, goofy 4-year-old voice, I said, "Well, I had to tell the universe there was space in the garage for the Porsche." And he rolled his eyes and he looked at me and he said, "You could have parked it on the street."
Oh my gosh. Talk about acting with confidence.
Yes. And like you said, if I didn't win, something bigger or something else would have come out of it. And part of this was I earned $57,789 in 90 days. Cash in the bank. And to put that in perspective, that was $200 more than my total gross revenue for the prior 2 years combined.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So
Which
if I didn't win the Porsche,
you
I could
made.
have
Mm.
could have gone and bought one if I wanted one, but it's more fun to win.
Well, the point was that it was a win either way.
Yes,
It was
a
a win
hundred
either
percent,
way. Right.
a
And
hundred
so
percent.
we could say this in a literal sense that it basically prompted you to, I don't know what, try new strategies, break through barriers, open up your own heart to the income that was waiting to flow to you. But for whatever reason, you had been losing money, losing money, losing money, and then boom, in that, was it 1 quarter that you made
Yeah,
that?
that was
Yeah,
in 90 days.
that's boom. That's
90
awesome.
days was more than
Awesome.
the prior 2 years combined.
Wow. Wow, wow,
Yes.
wow.
And
Okay.
it's because that's where massive action.
Yep.
So at first I was kind of laughing because the same quarter the prior year I had made like $5,000. So I maxed out. I increased my revenue by over 1,000%, but you can only get 10 points for 100%. So I maxed it out early on. I could have stopped. The additional revenue wasn't going to bring me any bonus points in the contest other than maybe a
Right.
little bit in my
Right.
video or in my essay of what I just did.
Right.
But I kept going because of number one, I was in action. And what's that saying? An item in action stays in action.
Right. Right.
Something like that.
It's
Snowballs
easier to
roll
keep a body in
downhill.
motion that's already in motion. Right.
There you
So
go.
yeah. So were you, that makes me want to know when you in that quarter, when your revenue jumped so much, did you do something significantly different? What happened business wise?
Oh,
Or
of
what
course.
yeah, of course.
5-day challenge, webinars, and I think I booked close to 100 discovery calls
Oh my
by
gosh. Wow.
literally pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. Anyone who had ever liked a post, anyone who had ever responded to an email, anyone that had showed any interest in living healthier, I contacted. And I asked friends of friends of friends, when I was announcing the webinars, invite a friend, let's have a bring a friend contest. There's going to be prizes for who brings in more friends, like doing everything, all the strategies I already knew.
Yeah.
But actually implementing them, not half-hearted, implementing them with the intention of I'm in it to win it.
I love it. And it was the power of your intention that was pulling you forward. So
Exactly.
I mean, what I'm noticing here is that you were taking big action, the contest, which was fun, but you were also taking big action in your business, which was effective. And so, and then you sold your car, which is an act of faith like no other, or crazy. And y'all, faith and crazy often look the same, right? So taking action in a way like, I don't know how this is going to unfold. I just know it's going to be all right. And you did that. So what happened?
So the next day they announced the winner. And what I didn't know was they were delivering the Porsche.
Oh.
So the only thing I knew was they were going to be announcing it live on a Facebook Live. And they wanted to know where I was. So at that point, I knew I was in the final three. Because I think the week before they contacted those of us that were final three.
Okay.
But still, I mean, there's still a 66% chance of not being the winner. But I was focusing on one of us is going to win, and there's only one me, so it can be me. I can be the one. And so I didn't know they were delivering the car. I knew that they were going to send a camera crew out to whoever the winner was, but that was all I knew. And we were actually supposed to be away at Lake Arrowhead, which is about an hour and a half from us.
Yeah.
At our cabin, and internet is not good there. So I actually said to Mark, I think we need to skip that trip. I want the internet to be good.
I don't want to take a chance on missing out.
Exactly. And then there was the knock on the door and camera crew was there and there was the Porsche.
The whole thing.
Even though I knew I am the Porsche winner, I still did the whole ugly cry, and it's all on video and it's horrific, but it was amazing. And it was almost anticlimactic the next day. I've been married for 33 years and I still remember that feeling the day after your wedding. You're like,
right.
Now, more deeply in love, like not like what just happened, but
Yeah.
the day after, it's kind of like the day after Christmas. Okay, now what? The day after the Porsche win, I was like, okay, well, I knew that was going to happen. What should we focus on
That was
next?
going to happen. What's next? Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. And so people who are listening to this, I'm trying to think about what are some of the questions people would have, or what would be some of the challenges or objections some folks would have. And I think some folks might say, well, yeah, you just worked really hard. So of course you won because you busted your butt and you made more money. That's not, what does that have to do with attraction? I know there's more to it than that, but how would you respond to that?
Sure. Part of the doing the affirmations and doing your visualization, I played this mind movie in my head every single day, sometimes 3 times a day. My intention was to play my movie in my head before every meal. And I wasn't 100%, but it was always me keeping this goal, this dream. And by doing that, it's almost impossible not to take massive action.
Yeah.
It's like the time my dad came home and I was sitting on the couch watching, this is way back in high school, watching a Jane Fonda workout video. And I was laying on the couch watching it. And my dad sat down next to me. He's like, "You think it works?" I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, look, I'm getting stronger already."
Yeah, just watch it. I mean, I'm breaking out a sweat. Just right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But doing the affirmations and the visualization, putting that energy out there. I mean, I started this off by saying you have to take massive action.
Yeah.
But the other 2 people that were in the finals, they took massive action.
Right.
But what they didn't do was law of attraction. And what's really interesting is one of them was a media coach. And I'm like, how could you not be posting this all over social media?
Well, so where I would go with that was that, because my thinking about this kind of thing is that energy is working all the time, whether you know it or not, whether you claim it or not. Energy is like, this is just kind of how I feel like how things work. So if there's a part of me that is totally into this and believes it, and I'm working hard and my business is successful and it's all fine, but I have this other little part of me that thinks, yeah, but I never actually win anything. Or there's 700 people. What chance do I have? Or, yeah, wouldn't it be sweet if I did that? But you know how those things go. Like nobody ever actually wins. If that's my thought process, then my intention is not clear. The energy is muddy. I am pushing for something and against something at the same time without even really thinking about it. Right.
Yeah,
so it doesn't surprise me, actually. And I'm very conscious of this myself, and I see it in my clients all the time. We have this kind of push-pull relationship with success and with our expectations of good that's coming our way. And I think it's pretty hardwired into us not to be too open to that, to be careful about that, not expect too much, because then you're just going to be disappointed. You were full bore. That's what I'm hearing, is you were wide open. I'm sure you had a wobble here and there, but your intention was so clear, and your action, but your energy is the thing to me that drove this whole thing.
Yeah. And that's the most important part is the energy.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't always work. And what you're talking about is that push pull.
Yeah.
That's what happens when we have competing intentions or competing beliefs.
Yeah.
We're saying we want something, but we're filling our head and putting in negative energy of it not happening. And remember, I started off this interview, like, as I told the story, that I wasn't going to join the contest. 700 entrepreneurs. What's really interesting is I think only 185 of those 700 actually started the contest. And I think only somewhere around 60 or 70 completed it.
There you go.
So that right there is massive action. Yep. And I had people telling me, I'm rooting for you to win and I'm in the contest, but I see how much you want it. And it wasn't even that I mean, when she announced the contest, I was like, who wants her car? Like, why would I want her car? Like, I don't even know what a Porsche Cayenne looks like. Like, who cares?
I'm thinking I need to tell my clients, don't get excited. I'm not going to be giving away a car. That's what I know.
I'm going to send around little car toys. But I've also had an instance earlier this year where I set this big goal for our launch. And let me just tell you, we hit about 25% of the goal. We were nowhere close due to a myriad of things a couple mistakes that I made in the launch, and then also just the climate and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been writing that launch goal in the sand every morning and letting the wave go over it and clearing it. And as it cleared it, I said, thank you for anointing my goal. Like I was in it. I was seeing it the whole bit. It didn't come true. What I saw instead was not having that big of a launch gave me a bigger gift, which was we need to slow down. We're going from launch to launch to launch. All of us are worn out. We aren't having fun.
Okay.
So the fact that I had, let's say, 50 students instead of the 200 I wanted,
right,
it was actually a blessing. And it gave me the time to go on a private retreat, develop different things in my life, where now I walk on the beach every day for an hour without a cell phone, without a podcast in my ear. It's me and nature connecting to God, source, universe, whatever somebody believes in. And so not hitting that goal, even though I had the affirmation, I had the visualization, I was taking massive action, it was truly a blessing. And I got something better.
Something that maybe you wanted also and didn't realize that you wanted.
Something I needed that I didn't know I needed.
Yeah.
Because I was a total workaholic, and now I have balance, and now I have clarity, and now I get excited to walk into my office, and I no longer work 14-hour days. And it was the biggest blessing ever. And let me just tell you, I still went through all the emotions. I'm human. I'm a failure. How can I teach people how to launch if I didn't hit my goal? Oh my gosh, this is our first non-6-figure launch in years. The sky is falling, the floor is dropping. I went through all of that because I'm human.
Right.
And then I just had to sit back and go, okay, where is the gift? It's here.
Where is the gift? I like that. Where is the gift? I see that people often say, where is the lesson? What am I to learn here? I like, where is the gift? I like the energy of that better. So a lot of the folks that will be hearing this, I think will be like 6-figure launches. Like, what is that? How do you do that? What? That's going to be so foreign, I think, for a lot of them. But what you're talking about is that you have online courses and programs that you launch out to the public every so often. You open the doors, you sell a product, invite people in to work with you in your programs. And you have been quite successful for a good while. And this year, this particular launch, something didn't quite work the way you expected or intended for it to do. And in the end, it turned out it was just fine because there was a gift in it. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
A great gift. And I like to say that we either get the results we want, the lessons we need, or a combination of both. And so, yes, it is a lesson, but it's also, it's like a gift box that has some lessons in there and some cute little confetti. And you got to get over your disappointment in order to open up the space to see what the gift is. And I just want to re-emphasize, I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't riding a unicorn over a rainbow going, where's the gift? Where's the gift? It's such a beautiful day. No.
Well, I get that because you strike me as someone who's super action oriented, super goal oriented. I suspect you're pretty competitive, right? You're very high energy. I think you like to win, is my guess. And I could sort of imagine how that would not have felt like any of those things at that time. So,
it felt like the biggest loss and failure ever, ever, because I had never declared a goal this big. And my team knew it. And it took me a while, probably a good week before I could get to the point of, all right, where's the gift?
So just for the heck of it, let me ask, when you said that was the biggest goal you had ever declared to your team before, how did it feel to declare that out loud, to say to them, I actually have a really big goal this time around? Bigger than
scary as heck.
Yeah.
Scary as heck, like all my goals. And if a goal doesn't make us scared, it's not big enough.
Oh my Lord, people, have y'all heard that before?
Yeah, like we're supposed to think we're crazy.
I always say if you're not scared to death, your goal's not big enough. You're not growing. So
exactly.
Yeah, but what's striking me is that if this was the biggest goal you'd ever had, or that you had said out loud to people, which is declaring your intention in a public way, which I think has tons of energy behind it in a good way. it also wouldn't surprise me if you were a little conflicted about that. And I have no idea. I don't want to put thoughts in your head that aren't there, but I'm thinking, if part of you was like, totally, I got this, easy peasy, it's going to happen. Or part of you was like, I think it's going to happen. I hope it's going to happen. It would make sense that you would be conflicted about that. So,
right. And to avoid that conflict, because that's also being human, when I set goals, like for a launch or some other things in my life, I set what's called win, place, show goals. So like horse trading, first, second, third place goals. So my third place goal is something that I am 51% confident I can hit. Okay. That's kind of like the consolation prize, right? But
right.
you can hit it. Then the place goal is, all right, I have to get out of my comfort zone to hit this. Like I have to do things differently. And then the win goal is, holy bananas, what just happened? The sky's open, the angels sing. There's no reason to even be able to articulate how we did that, but we did.
Somebody cries.
So, yes. So I rarely hit the first place goal. To not be disappointed and not set out, the competing intentions, the competing beliefs.
Right.
I'm always thinking about third place. And then when I hit third place, I start looking at second place. And when I hit second place, I start looking at first place. Well, in this particular launch, we didn't even hit third place, which I think has never happened. So it was so many gifts and so many great lessons. It was pure disappointment and growth.
Mm-hmm. Those two go together a lot. So now I would like to hear about how you use this. I want to talk about like how you're using this in your business and with your clients now, how you teach this with your clients. Just talk to me about how you're using this as a business coach yourself, because your people are very similar to mine. They're health coaches, so I know there's going to be some similarities there. How do you teach this and inspire them to use this?
Well, one thing that I like to do is help my clients tap into what I call their why power, and really like setting a goal and then asking themselves, why does that matter? And then to the answer, ask, why does that matter? And why does that matter? So that we can get to the root desire. Why is this so important to me? And it's called the 5 whys. It was developed by Toyota Motor Company way back in, I think, the 30s or 40s. I first learned this in business school when I was an undergrad at USC. So when I'm doing an enrollment call, I like to take my clients through this process to develop their why power. And sometimes it takes 122 whys before I get them there. But what I would tell them is once you get to a place of emotion, you've probably nailed your why power. And in my practice, 99% of the time, I would not extend an offer to work with me if they were not emotional during the why power exercise.
Because they weren't connected deep enough, right?
They weren't connected deep enough. And it was going to be much, 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 much harder to coach them. And it wasn't that I was taking the easy way out, but at that point, I had plenty of clients.
Right.
I don't want to invite somebody into a group coaching program if I don't believe that they're willing to go deep. And all of my trainings were mindset based for weight loss. So I think as health coaches, and healers, it's so important to get people to tap into their why power. Like if someone is sick, if they have cancer, the most powerful question is, do you want to live?
Yeah.
And then why? And it's a hard question to answer.
So I love that. I've used this same exercise. I've used the 5 whys, but to get at a problem, to solve what's underneath a problem, why this block keeps coming up. I have not heard it used in this way to define and clarify your deepest desire. That's beautiful. That's a whole different way of thinking about that exercise.
Yeah. And it's so powerful in the health and wellness industry, because it's one thing to say, I want to run a 5K. Great. Was it because you saw a friend? Why is that important to you? And I remember asking someone why they wanted to lose weight. And at first it came down because I don't like the way I look. That was the first response. Okay, great. By the time we got to her deepest why, she said, I don't want to be like my grandmother. She was so unhealthy. We were forced to see her. And my daughter's getting married, and I want to be a great grandmother. Like a fabulous grandmother. That is so much deeper than I don't like the way I look.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't like the way I look isn't going to stop you from eating the Oreos.
It's also more about what you want and less about what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and moving towards something you want as opposed to away from something you don't want is
Right.
Has completely different energy as well. So,
right.
beautiful.
And so I encourage the healers, the health coaches here to really explore why power and use that in your enrollment calls or even with your existing clients to really find out why it's important. Because if you can unleash that why power for your clients, it trumps everything. It trumps willpower. We know willpower is an exhaustible component. Why power, you don't need to plug it back in. You just need to keep tapping into it.
Right.
So if you can get people to tap into their why power, write their affirmation and do visualizations, it's going to be easier to take the massive action.
Yeah. That makes me, you're familiar, I'm sure, with Simon Sinek and his book, Start With Why.
Yes.
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, oh, this is so good, because I think we forget that sometime. We get so caught up in the nuts and bolts and the daily drudgery, actually, that are parts of running a business, that we forget the joy that led us to it to begin with. And tapping back into that joy and into your why at a deep level is what keeps you going all the time. And
100%.
Shifts your energy, right? Draws things to you. Yeah. Okay. So I love that.
I know one of the pain points for health coaches is creating content. And just like you were saying, it can feel like drudgery, like it never ends.
Right.
Kind of like healthy living. You can get to a goal, but you have to maintain it.
Right.
One thing that makes content so much easier to create is be visualizing your ideal client reading this post or reading this blog or watching your Facebook Live, and visualize the impact that it can have on their life. And then it becomes fun and it's not this big drudgery.
So I was listening the other day to one of the online folks that I like to follow, which is, there's several, but James Wedmore, are you familiar with him?
He is my mentor. I'm in his highest level mastermind.
Awesome. I love him.
Yes.
So he said something on a podcast recently. I was hearing him coaching somebody, and he said something like, our tendency when we want to do something big or step into something that feels uncomfortable in our business is to ask, yeah, but what? We have all the what ifs, ohs, and no-nos, right? So what if nobody signs up? What if my clients get mad at me when I raise my prices? What if my business dies because I set limits on my time? What if? And he says, you can totally turn that around and do it another way. What if this works?
Right.
What if it works better than I ever expected? What if people actually love it? What if people are eager to pay me? What if my clients actually thank me when I raise my rates, which I have seen happen? What if, right? And it cracked me up, because I thought, that is so true. We do the what ifs to our detriment. And where going with the law of attraction is that when it really, I just can't say enough about the role of energy. But when you step into, well, what if it's possible that I can, that this will, that we are, then all kinds of things are possible. And going back to your contest and your sweet little car, which I know you turned around and sold, right? And bought a new one. Is that what you did?
Yes, I sure did.
Of course you did. You're making me think I need to go put a picture of a Z4 on my bulletin board, because that's what's missing. I don't have the picture up. But that when we talk about success in your private practice, designing an ideal practice, and what you've done, Christy, in a big way, you have created, I mean, your business is thriving, and you are thriving clearly. And your energy is so clear and so clean and so positive, not because you don't go to the dark side. Like, I love that you kept saying that. It doesn't mean I don't have my down moments. I had a coach one time who said, I still go fetal sometime. I just don't stay there anymore. So that's fine. But ultimately, what I want the folks who hear this to take away from this is magic happens when you believe it's possible, even if you can't explain it. It's not about whether you can explain it or not. It's still magic.
Yes. If you could see me on video right now, I'm like doing a little dance in my chair. That is so true. And here's the thing, beliefs are made up. So would you rather create the positive belief or the negative belief?
Yeah, seriously. What's more fun?
I mean, I've told you earlier that I've moved on to a plant-based diet, which is so foreign to me, and I'm feeling great. Well, I really dislike cooked Brussels sprouts. So I could say I'm never eating a Brussels sprout, even though they have so many healing and antioxidant properties. Or I can say, you know what? I don't mind raw shaved Brussels sprouts on a salad. So it's like, am I going to fight it and just say no Brussels sprouts ever?
Right.
Yes, I will say no cooked Brussels sprouts ever. And I've tried every recipe, so nobody needs to send me recipes. I've tried them 100 times. But then it's like, okay, let me see if there's another way to get these into my system.
Mm-hmm.
I even throw them into my juicer now too. I'm like, hey, they're good for me. And now I found a way to enjoy them.
Well, you shifted the question from how can I avoid these to how can I make this work?
Right.
Right.
Right. And it's so powerful when we open up our heart to just the possibilities. And again, our beliefs are made up. There's three letters in there in the middle. Lie. L-I-E. It's part of belief. So not that I like lying to myself, but if I'm going to make things up, I'm going to make up the positive one.
Well, and I just don't think it's making things up. I think it is setting an intention, and then you set energy in motion. And as long as you are open to it and not blocking it, I really do think things have a way of coming your way that you don't even see. I have had some pretty amazing things happen in my own life where I didn't even realize what I was doing, but sometimes months later, a year later, something happens that I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I intended a year ago when I wrote that whatever in my journal. And boom, here it is, right? So, and I've heard people tell stories about creating a vision board and on a poster and sticking it in a drawer and forgetting about it. And then years later, finding it and realizing that everything on there had come true. So you can call it whatever you want. You can call it spirit. You can call it grace. You can call it magic. You can call it woo. You can just call it energy. But whatever it is, I think it's real. And I think learning how to tune into this and pay attention is critical as you are growing your practice, as you are evolving as a human being, as a business owner. And Christy, I just can't thank you enough for telling these stories and for sharing. And we didn't close one particular loop. Your husband is well. How is he doing? Tell us about that. We didn't finish
He is cancer-free 6 years later, and just the epitome of health and vibrancy. And yeah, it's a good life. We just had our 33rd wedding anniversary, and yeah, we'll get to 60. We're going to be old, but we'll get to 60.
Let me tell you, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. Well, where can people learn more about you and or tap into what you have to offer? Where do folks go to learn more about you or connect with you?
So for those of your listeners who are hearing this, the best place to find me is my Facebook group, which is called the Health Coaches Club.
Okay. Yeah.
I also have a free gift, free download, which is called the Winning Game Plan, Your Guide to Scoring More Wins. And it goes through my 7-step process. And that can be found at Christy Miller, CHRISTIE, Miller.com/winning.
/winning. Okay, great. I'll put all of that in the show notes so you guys can find it. And she told me a little bit about her 7-step process before we got online. And I encourage you to go get that download. I think it's going to be something that will fit very well with what we've talked about today. So love it. So Christy, is there anything else that you feel like you'd like to share for this episode to be complete?
Yes, I would. Yeah. I would like to leave a message for the skeptics because I was there too. I just want to invite the skeptics to try it. That's it. Just be open and try it. You got nothing to lose and a ton to gain.
Right. Right. I love it. Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I love your enthusiasm. I think you have really good energy and it's so delightful to have this conversation with you. And I think there was a third car in there somewhere that you won. I've already forgotten which one it was, but I think there was another one. Wasn't there?
Yes, there was. I did a mini version of this and won a Tesla last year.
Oh, well, there you go, folks. You'll have to reach out to her to hear that one. Lord, we're going to call this the car episode. You get a car and you get a car.
I get a car. I get a car. I get a car.
I love it so much. I will say for those of you who are hearing this, if you find yourself feeling some resistance to this, if you find yourself going, yeah, right, whatever, all I'm going to say, like she just said, either, try it. What have you got to lose? And I would invite you to be curious about that resistance. What is that about? What is that really about? And you might even try the 5 whys to see where that takes you, because I suspect there's some good learning to happen there. All right. With that, I will let this interview go. Thank you, Christy, for being here. Thank you, everybody who's listening and for tuning in. I appreciate you more than you know, and I will see you next time. Oh my gosh, was that not just the most fun conversation ever? I'd forgotten how good it was going back and listening to it again. I am blown away by how many nuggets of wisdom were contained in this episode. You guys, I really hope that you'll go back and listen to this more than once. And don't get blindsided by the big shiny thing here, which is, oh, how cool it is somebody won a car. Because there was like so much more than that. She won and is winning in her business. Her husband is winning in his health. She's winning in her life, even when it doesn't always feel like it. So that's really magnificent. And the processes and mindset and flow of energy and approach that Christy talked about in this interview are all accessible to everyone. I'm telling you, this is the kind of thing I think you should go back and listen to it and take notes. I was taking notes myself, and I was the one that did the interview. And oh my gosh, if you've enjoyed this today and it's been helpful to you, please take a moment to help me spread the word. Share it with a friend or a colleague. Post it on your own social media platform, wherever you think folks would like to hear about it. Or just go over to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a 5-star review and tell me why you love it so much. It's been a real treat today, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye now.